As you can see, the video coming up now, it's going to be on a steel chainsaw. I'm going to be showing how I sharpen the chainsaw. Some people remove the chain off and put it through this devices to sharpen. So there's a lot of ways to do this. I do it what I feel is the simplest way. Is just put it on a vise or on the floor or on a little stool, hold it between your legs, however, and just put the file right through it. Now, this is the way the files that they sell for this. There's different sizes, so you have to know the size that is for your chain. This is the one here for this one. And these teeth are one facing in each direction, staggered. So like this one goes that way, and the next one does this one, it's gonna go this way. So what you would do is that you do it, all the ones going in one direction, skipping, and then remove this from the vise or you have it in front of you, turn it around and then do the other side because you're not gonna be swapping each angle every time. It's more difficult. So I will go here, then go this one, and then this one, and so on and so forth. Now they sell a bunch of other things. Like you could buy the file with a handle, be more fancy. This works fine. Just as long as you wear gloves, you could do it. You're not even gonna hurt your hands. You could just use the file alone. Now there's also, I guess, more fancy stuff. This file that you put inside this device, and it kind of controls also so it's flat in here. You could do that too. Now there's something else that you have to do. If you've already filed it down a few times and sharpened it, there's another thing called the raker, which is the little part right in front of it. It needs to come down somewhat because the raker has to be a little bit lower than the actual cutting blade. That's because that's what removes the sawdust out of the way. With that said, you have to know exactly how much you can't remove too much. If you leave too much, then the blade part can't cut good. And if you take off too much, then it doesn't rake and remove the stuff out of the way. So it's a specific balance. So when you get a brand new blade, you should look at it. You could tell yours more or less what it is. But there's also specs online. With that said, chains are so inexpensive that the best bet probably is to, once you've already sharpened it several times, might as well replace it instead of having to mess around with the height of the raker. Because in reality is that, especially unless you're like a professional, you've probably hit a nail, a piece of metal, or something hard that has already damaged some teeth beyond repair, and the chain is never going to be 100%. So once you've already sharpened it a few times, you might as well just replace it. They're not that expensive. Let me zoom in a little bit here on the actual blade so you can see better. Oh, let me turn it down. And I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen this one. And you only have to do, unless it's really nicked and really bad, you only have to do like very limited amount of strokes on it, maybe like 3. And also pay attention to the pitch because you're not gonna do it like that. It's at an angle, but the actual blade will fall in the angle that it goes when you put it in, and just follow that angle. So I'll go right here. Now, before I forget, I'm starting right here. I'm gonna mark it because believe me, once you go around, you're not gonna know where you started. So I'll put a piece of tape or something. So it's just to feel that any nicks are gone. I'm not giving any pressure. Normally you do like 3, like I said, giving it pressure. So let's go there. Let me unlock here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. And you can feel how once you go on the second and even the third pass, it's really smooth. Any little nicks went away. Always in the forward motion. And by the third one that I feel already very little resistance of any type of nick, I don't give it that much pressure. And I'm not trying to eat out the blade on it. Just trying to sharpen it, not consume it. But sometimes you're gonna see, good point that I came across this right now, in some blades, depending on the length, where it's not always one to each side. At some point where it's gonna be a double on one same side, because it's just the length of the chain, that's where the links ended up. So you'll see that once in a while, which is here, these two are from the other side. That's where the, once the length of the chain and they're gonna put it together, it ended up right there, so. And back to the beginning now. I'll go ahead and flip it around. Let me mark some starting point here. One thing that does help is to hold the other side of the blade instead of just one hand. Here you have more control to keep that angle that's already there. And again, not to be repetitive, but as you get into like your third one, you want to do a lighter because you don't want to keep on eating this. And sometimes you might have to do 5. It depends how nicked up your blade is, what hard object you've hit that has damaged one of these teeth. One other thing is that this is probably the extent of how loose I wanted to do it, which is this chain is not like really loose, just a little bit. I mean, you can use it like that, but you want to have it a little bit tighter, like the way that you would normally go about using it, so it doesn't move around like it's doing on me right now. But it's still workable. But it's at that end right now where anymore, and it's uncomfortable to sharpen it. And that's where I started. Let me go ahead and show how to, since I'm already here. How to tighten this chain up. And I'm just putting it on the vise here now to tighten it also, just to hold it better for the view, because you can do it on the floor, on a table. Now let me find the right, you can use a socket there and any screwdriver, but there also are specific tools for that. And I wonder, I forgot which size that one was. But you can find this socket, whatever it is, 20 millimeter or whatever, and a flathead to tighten it. In this case, you just loosen this up. Now, if you have to replace the chain, you would take it off completely. But to tighten it, you only loosen it up and you find the bolt, which is, depending on what machine you have, it's in different spots. This one has it right here just to tighten. See right here? And as you turn it to the right, it's gonna make it tighter. And you go to the left, and it'll loosen it more. See? Let me, even though I don't have to remove this, let me show you in case you got to replace the chain. Might as well go through, remove this completely and go through the motions. It's gonna be for the chain replacement. You see this little one's the same size, yep. Now here, the blade will stay here. So you should do this on top of a table. I'm just holding it here again for the view. But basically, at this point, you're just gonna pull this out and the chain comes off. Normally you do it the other way around. You've had this sitting and pull the bar out. But for having a better view, keeping it like this. Now put the chain. You want the chain in the bar. It's kind of difficult doing it this way, not on top of the table, but trying to get the good view here. There he goes. There's no way I was grabbing that nut with the glove on. Well, I know not to do another video of taking this bar off, holding it in this, because it becomes very complicated. So it's coming off. I'll just spin around the table and show you the way it's actually should be done when you remove the bar, because trying it like that, well, it's not working out. Let's do it the right way. All right, so we'll straighten it out. No slack, it goes in. Don't tighten all the way because we still have to stretch the chain. Oh, wait, let me tell you something here real quick that I forgot to mention. When you're stretching the chain, what it's doing, there's a little kind of pin that comes up into the bar that as you screw in and out that bolt, it's pushing that pin. When you're gonna put this bar, make sure that pin falls into place. And you might have to give it more slack to that bolt to tighten or not. So right here, I'll take this off real quick. You see how this is the bolt right here going through, but the bolt is pulling. Let me show you here. This bolt that goes through there is pulling this up and down as you tighten. So it needs to have enough slack to fall into this hole. And especially when you're putting a brand new chain, it's gonna be different. So you're gonna have to turn the screw to make it move into the spot where it's gonna land in this hole. You'll see now when I put this See how I landed in it right there? If not, it's not gonna close properly. Don't know if from the position of the camera there with the distance you could tell, but I've engraved because you will forget. Remember, this doesn't get used like all the time unless you cut trees for a living. And even then, you might forget with different chainsaws the sizes of the blade, and they kind of information wears off from here. So I engraved the chain length, the pitch. It's three pieces of information that you need. 3/8 is this one, 0.43 of an inch, and 55 links. I suggest you engrave it if you don't want to then struggle and have to do research to find out what chain you need. That's a lot of variations. So now here, see how it's super loose? You want it to be, when you tighten it, not super tight because you're gonna wear out your bar. Just enough that when you pull it, it goes off almost like the back end of these teeth. See that how it has a little tip there? That it almost comes off, but it doesn't. Kind of like right there. And actually, you learn one thing, that when you do that, you want it to end up like that it barely comes off, but you want to tighten it a little bit less than that, because once you tighten the two nuts here on the side, it gives that an extra tightness. I'll show you in a second what I mean by that. So whatever you tighten there with that bolt, it's gonna add a little bit more once you tighten here. That makes sense right now. So like right now, for example, I'm pulling it that tip is actually coming out. Let me see if the camera is close enough for you to see that. Yeah, I believe so. So right now, with how I tighten it, you see that the tip actually clears in. We don't want it like that. We want it that when you pull it, it stays kind of like just in the bar by 1/16 of an inch, let's say. But once you tighten this, it'll give it extra. Now it still has too much. It still has a play like almost 1/8 under, so I'm gonna give it a little bit more, because even tightening that nut is not gonna bring in that difference. But right now, pulling. Oh, it went off back here. That's why I wasn't moving. I thought that the lock was put on or something. But talking and giving the explanation, didn't pay attention to the back. And it came off back here, you see? But now it won't fit and find to the spot, so I gotta release it again. And I don't cut, and I'm not gonna edit this and show it put right from the get-go, because I'd rather people see how, sometimes you put it on and by the time you put the cover, you moved and it slid off. Like, I'd rather people see real world than fake, making it look perfect. Like every time you do something, it's gonna work out perfectly. Because then you see that in the video, and when you do it yourself, you're like, damn, I'm going through a lot of trouble and everybody else is so easy. All these other videos you see that everything is perfect, is because it's being edited. Because, things happen, things shift, and it's not perfect. There we go. Now I had it really loose here. Let me see. Let me make sure that it is perfect there. Yeah. And as you tighten it little by little, make sure that it stays, especially here in the track of the bar. Now I'm gonna go, let me check the video because I moved it around. Yeah, make sure you're still coming out there. See how it's coming out? So you wanna hold it in place while you tighten it. So it could go inside the actual bar. Little by little, believe me, it'll mount itself outside the bar. Now, testing. See how it's still coming out a lot? All of it comes out. All of it's still basically almost, if I give it a lot of tension, it all comes out. So, but it's almost right there. I'm gonna give it a half a twist. That's too much. We go back to 1/4. It's really tight. That's how it should pretty much be, that it comes out that much, almost to the, like I said, that comes out of that groove. Problem is if I tighten it right there, once you tighten here, it gives it extra, and it's gonna be too much. So I'm actually gonna go almost 1/4 back, just under 1/4. Right there. And let's try to tighten it. And if it goes too much, then I'll back it up some more. But like I said, this is gonna give it extra. And there goes my phone. See how this give it extra now? But it still left it kinda 1/8, 1/16 in. Perfect. That'll work. I'm gonna tighten it here. And that would be it for this video. Catch you on the next one.